and I haven't, looked you up, so I don't. I want to find out more about you.
Cool. Yeah. You're not missing a ton, but hey, I'll give you a little insight into the.
I mean, what have you been doing the last few weeks?
Last few weeks,
Last month, few months, whatever.
the last few months, I have been cleaning bathrooms.
Yeah. Yeah. What does a day at the park look like?
Dude,
hour-long lunches.
no,
That's
it's-
about the only thing I picked up on.
Maybe longer than that.
Maybe
sometimes. Yeah, no. Every Tuesday, in and out,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, no, it's mellow. I mean, it's mellow until it snows, and then when it snows,
Yeah, you got to get up early and get out there and plow everything.
which thankfully we only had like 3 of those this year. 3 or
Yeah.
4. So.
Hey,
That's
we
been
might
really light.
have another one. You never know.
Oh,
It's getting
You never
warm,
know.
but
You never know.
it'll flip the switch and be 20 degrees again.
it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as crazy as Colorado where I came from, but because Colorado, it could snow in like May.
Yeah.
Like I was there in April for one of those BMX triple challenges. I helped build those with Adam Eloise, and it snowed, rained, and was 60 degrees all in one day. And that's Colorado. Like literally, it's wild. So,
That's how the mountains are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's kind
Of us at one
of
point,
8 or 10.
8 or 10 of us, 5 people can manage that park.
Exactly.
Yeah, if we're trying to do construction, 7. But
Yeah, that's
yeah, that was. There was a lot of days where we're just looking for stuff to do.
Well-
Really looking.
It's hard because we didn't know.
Yeah.
Like that was our first summer.
Oh,
as both sides being open, like stage 1 and stage 2, or
Yeah.
whatever they call it. So it was, it was definitely a like, how's this going to go? I don't know. So
Yeah.
So they realized that we don't need as many as we had. So in which we didn't really have a choice. We had like, so Roger's leaving, like he's retiring.
Oh, really?
This
Okay.
he leaves April 1st, so in 1 month.
Mhm.
So, and then Jeremy's going to take over his position. I don't know if you've met Jeremy.
No, I met Jeremy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's taking over his position.
All right.
So he'll move up. So,
Yeah, Jeremy's the one that was, I got him hyped on maybe building a Sur on track back where stage 3 was going to be.
that was Phil.
That was Phil.
Shorter?
Yeah.
Shorter guy? That's
Shorter, buffier.
Yeah. That's Phil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Phil.
Phil.
Maybe I don't know Jeremy.
Yeah, I don't know
but-
if you did. You've probably met him, but
Yeah.
I don't remember. But
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. That would have been. That's a huge project. I was like, oh, we could do it in a weekend.
I may have taken the skiddy back there on like Tuesday while it was really nice and wet, where that big pile of dirt that I laid out was. Like all the dirt I took out of it where the dirt was.
Yeah,
And I may have carved a lip out
for the Surons.
For the Surons.
No, if I had a Suron, I'd be learning how to wheelie that thing back there. That's perfect terrain for it because it's just
Those are getting more and more popular too. So
yeah.
It's hard to. I mean, literally on Wednesday we had a safety meeting, and one of the topics was e-bikes.
Oh, really?
Just in general, Surons,
e-assist,
all of those things. Yeah. And trying to go through kind of what's the lay of the land of, because it's so much of a gray area. But they do have laws that say only this speed it's considered illegal, or you can't do it up to this speed and that and that.
Mhm.
So
You don't want them on the sidewalks going 40 miles, 50 miles an hour.
no, and so literally
having a Sur on track would be pretty cool though. Like
Yeah.
I don't
hard
think there's
part-
really any of them out there, is there?
No, there's nothing like that.
which is
around
why
here.
I've been telling the city of Meridian, like,
Yeah,
get ahead of the curve, because it's going to happen eventually. Is
Yeah.
what I feel like.
yeah.
Mhm.
But this is the hard part, and I mean,
Well, because companies are also making even smaller ones than the one I have out there, and even larger ones. So you can probably class it out on how many milliamps it has.
for sure. And
Mhm.
like, this is the hard part, is then it turns into almost the same thing as like a motocross track, right?
Mhm.
Where, okay, how do we tell, because it's like there's so many different levels of e-bikes. They have everything from a Stasic to like those scooter things to like to the Surons, to now they have those Stark Vargs that are like literally dirt bikes.
No, yeah, those things.
They have 90 horse. I think you can go up to at least 90 horsepower,
Yeah.
which a 450 has like 72.
Yeah, it's
So
the most
think about that.
powerful dirt bike ever created. Is
So
the
it's
Stark
like,
Varg.
and then how are you going to create a track and say, okay,
You can,
you
but
can
can't.
ride, but you can't.
Yeah,
So that's where it's like, such a hard, like, that's why I haven't really pushed for it, because I'm like, how do I build a track that lets Starks on it, but also Stasics?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, man, you can still take your Sur-on, go out wherever and just ride whatever.
Yeah, go to a track.
You can go to a track still, and you can.
That's what it's gonna have to be.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
yeah, because
the
there's
city
still a
can't
dirt
do
bike.
it.
The Sur-on is still a dirt bike.
Because what's gonna happen is we build a electric bike track, and it's for Sur-ons and whatever. And then now, like literally the other day on Wednesday when we had the safety meeting, it was like I saw 2 dirt bikes, like legit gas dirt bikes, out at the park riding on the sidewalk. One was riding on the sidewalk, and I was like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I just figured I could ride." I'm like, "Dude, it's a dirt bike. Like, you cannot, like, do you have like a license for that thing?" And he's like, "Oh, I got it registered and this and that." I'm like, "Dude, I don't care if you're cruising around in the parking lot as long as you're not going fast and putting anyone in danger, but you cannot ride on the sidewalk."
No, it's
like a dirt bike.
It's a motorcycle. Yeah, it's a road.
And then I saw
kind of thing.
So I saw 3, technical motorcycles in my opinion. And so it's like,
and they are. I mean, like, they are motorcycles.
Yeah, it sucks because I told him, like, listen, dude, if I was your age, I would want to be doing the same thing. Like, obviously, when I was growing up, they didn't have bike parks. Like, it wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
So for that to be a thing now, like back when I was growing up, it was like, grab the shovels. We're going to go back in the trees where no one goes, and we're going to go build jumps. It's not like there's a specific spot where a city is dedicated to build a park. You know what I mean? So it's just a different avenue that.
No, like I grew up, I'd go try to build dirt jumps where they haven't built houses in the neighborhood yet, and they just immediately get torn down. No one wants to see any of that. It's dangerous. People are going to get hurt.
No.
I mean, everybody who owns property like that is afraid of getting their ass.
It's a liability.
You let them do that, even though that they didn't go and go, "Oh, hey, Melville, you can go build this out there."
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, it's funny is this one time this dude, they hadn't built houses here. I'm trying to build some dirt jumps, and I'm digging a hole, and this dude Gabe's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm building dirt jumps for my bike. Do you need a hose? Do you need water over there? I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah, bring it over.
And dude just threw his hose over the fence, and I had his hose for the afternoon. I built 3, probably 2 foot tall, 8 foot wide, crappy little dirt jumps. I didn't know what I was doing.
Hey, that's how you learn.
And then at a separate time in the same spot, I dug like a really deep hole, and I was just trying to make the biggest dirt jump I could, but I dug a pretty decent hole, and some dude was doing donuts in this field, and his truck got stuck in it, I guess. That's on him. You didn't.
Hey,
there's a big hole right there.
Hole. Watch out for it.
So what? It's 2 a.m. and you're doing donuts.
Yeah.
That's
Whose
on
fault
you.
was that?
Yeah, but building dirt jumps is. Everything is so organized and regulated, and there's code for everything, and it's dangerous.
Well, do you have autonomy out there at Discovery to build whatever you want in the jump?
Essentially, I mean, I've talked to, like, I've called Mike one time, who's one of the top guys at the city, and I've been like, "Hey, I got a question. I was thinking about building this," and he's like, "Does it involve me doing anything?" I said, "No." He's like, "Then yes." I'm like, okay. So, but I also, I somewhat know how it works in the sense of, like, if I build something that they're not aware of, I don't want it to come back on me. So I always get an okay first. But the problem is space. Like, we don't have a complete amount of space to do whatever we want. Like, basically where I built up to that second the new jumps that I built, there's a fence that go along those. Past that, they have it dedicated to what's going to be called stage 3, essentially. And there's not been a for sure yet, but they're talking about soccer fields. So obviously, I was talking about this to someone the other day. I was like, man, I just wish we could talk to, like, the city, convince them to just let people who are building, digging. There's so much houses being built and stuff like that where dirt's getting taken out of places. Like, just tell people, hey, bring all your dirt here and just start stacking up as high of a hill as we can and create something like Eagle, where, like, we just have a big starting hill it gives something some downgrade and have an actual downhill, and make, more of like a mountain bike / kind of what Eagle has. It would be really cool.
That'd be a
but
ridiculous amount of dirt. But I mean,
yeah,
who knows? I mean, they're building hundreds and hundreds of houses out there.
Why not?
That's a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because we have so many soccer fields, like, already. Not saying that soccer is a bad thing. My kid plays soccer, so I enjoy it. It's cool. But it's like we only have 3 bike parks, like legit bike parks, I would say. Boise and Eagle and then Meridian, right? So it's like, let's give more to, I mean, there's a big scene out here for it when it comes to mountain biking and BMX and dirt jumping and all that kind of stuff.
I feel like the city just wants to see, how much use is this going to get for how much does it cost us.
And I think that they saw that when we had our opening day, when leading up to it, I had talked to them about building the new stuff that I had built this last summer with you and Shade and stuff and Lucas, and they were kind of like, hold up, like, let's just get the bike park open first, and then we'll talk about future building and stuff like that. I don't think that they thought it was going to be used as much as it is. And so once they saw opening day and there was like over 100 people there, they were like, I got a call, I think that next week, maybe even Monday, and they were like, hey, green light, you can build new stuff and more stuff. And I was like, sweet. Like, that was all it took.
And that was going to be another question is when you're explaining something, a feature to somebody that doesn't do that, like how is that connecting when it comes to city officials?
That's hard. And I'll be honest with you, for the most part, the city has been really cool just being like, we don't know what you're talking about. For the most part, like, obviously they understand grades and different things like that. But when it comes to their biggest thing is they just don't want to build something that's like super dangerous. And they don't want to just exclude, like, only build hard stuff. Like, they want to build stuff for all different expertises of riding. So, the beginner riders, the intermediate riders, and the expert riders. So when I built the new stuff this last year, that was one of the things that they were really hoping to do was, and I wanted to do was, like, let's build one line that's kind of like the next step up from the beginner line, but it's not quite to the intermediate line. So we built that, and then we built something that was like kind of like the next level up from the intermediate line, but not quite to the expert line. So it's like kind of fills those gaps. So then you can come out and go, you could literally start riding there and ride the beginner line, ride the next kind of beginner line. That's like, I guess, the next step up, and then you ride the intermediate line, and then a little bit higher intermediate level, and then the expert level. Like, you literally have now a 5-stage line process instead of having a 3-stage how it was originally built. Because before it was just a beginner line with rollers, and then you go straight from that to big step ups, and it's like the gap was pretty big in between the two.
Yeah.
So
hitting rollers doesn't prepare you to
no. It's important to know how to pump rollers and stuff, but it's not preparing you for jumping necessarily. So there's so many facets, and there's so many things that you can learn through pump tracks and different things, but obviously when you stand before a dirt jump and you've never jumped it before, that's scary.
Yeah. You gotta it's good to work your way up.
Start with a tabletop or whatever, like just kind of work your way from there. So it's fun to see kids start at the beginner level and kind of just work their way up, and you get to see their progress. And that's part of the one of the reasons why I do it and enjoy doing it is I remember being that kid who started BMX racing and didn't really understand much, just knew I wanted to be able to jump things and do cool things, and then watching the pros on TV and saying, no, it'd be cool to be able to do that one day, and then working your way up and making it that way. So that's cool. So yeah.
Well, how'd you get your job working with City Meridian?
So I got my job talking with Dustin, the dude who takes care of the Boise Bike Park. I was working with American Ramp Company at that time, building just bike parks throughout the U.S. And it was just, I was at the point, I worked with them for a couple of years, and the guys I was working with were super cool. I mean, I was getting to work with my brother, also Alex Fowler and the homie Sean and a bunch of really cool dudes. It wasn't the people I was working with. It wasn't even the job that I loved doing what I was doing. It was just more just the travel. So I was trying to look for something that I could stay local and do. But I also didn't want to just go, work for a construction company if I didn't have to. Obviously, if I did have to, I would. But I was looking to do something that was still sticking somewhat to the BMX, bike park things. That way, works a little funner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to talk to Dustin on one of the days that he was around this time when we're going in the spring. He's starting to get the bike park built back up and get ready to go on for the summer. And I just went out there and helped him dig a little bit. And I was like, hey, have you heard about that new Meridian Park? And he was like, yeah, the officials have came out here and talked to me a little bit, the city guys, and just asked if we need to hire an actual bike guy or if we can hire someone in-house. And he was telling them, like, you need to hire someone that knows bikes if you want it to be good. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, dude, just call him. Just like call Parks and Rec and, see if you can set up a meeting with him or whatever. And I was like, okay. So I went home and I called him, left a message with one of the guys that worked with the city. And they called me back the next day and told me to fill out the resume or the app and then give him a resume. And I did that. And then I got a call. I just let him know. I was like, hey, I'm leaving in 1 week to go build a bike park in Colorado for probably 2 months. So if you're wanting to actually see me in person and talk in person, it's going to need to be in the next week or else I'm not going to be able to. And he's like, oh, we can just do a Zoom call. No worries. So I sent all this stuff in, and then I got a call on Monday. Hey, you have a good resume and we got everything. Is there any way we can meet up this week before you leave? So I met up with him on Thursday and then I got the job. They didn't tell me at that interview that I got the job. They waited like 2 weeks, but I ended up getting it that way. And yeah, it's been awesome. It's kind of like I had a dirt jump set up in California when I lived there. Called FOD, was the Field of Dreams. Me and my brother took care of it and built it. So it's kind of like my FOD junior, even though it's a city park. Like I get to have something that I can take care of. They're not my jumps. They're the people who's
they're your jumps.
But
there's no one can say they're not.
No, I don't look at it that way though. I mean, I just take care of them. But they're not mine. They're the people who ride them and stuff, which I'm one of the people that rides them, but they're all of ours.
They're everyone's jumps.
So, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, and I get to, clock out of work and drive 20 minutes home, and it's the best. Go be with my kids and my wife, and there's nothing better. So yeah, I enjoy it.
So I heard last year you were spending some time out here in Nampa on those dirt jumps. Mm-hmm. And I heard through the rumors through talking to other people, like that is a very back and forth. They get built up and running good, and then they just fall apart because nobody takes care of them. Yeah. So can you delve into that a little bit deeper and
for sure
why that is?
This is the problem with that setup, and the deal with that is the city they're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where they're willing to put up a little bit of money to like they paid me a little bit to rebuild it. They're not willing to pay someone to take care of it. So until they're willing to do that, the problem is there's no fence around it. Yeah. So it can't be like if it rains, you can't block people from getting in there.
Yeah, no, and I've been out there.
And yeah, so like there's all it takes is literally I could build the whole place super nice and it'd be super good, and then there's one rain, and the dude goes out there on a Sur-Ron, all that work's gone. Literally, that's the unfortunate part about dirt.
They don't have to be on a Sur-Ron. They can just ride roll over everything.
Yeah, I mean, they just walk. They can just walk.
Yeah,
I mean, that's literally all it'll take. But and the problem is like the motivation for anyone, including myself, to go out there, and now that it's been winter, people have messed it up. I'm sure I haven't been out there in a while, but the motivation to go out and fix it is like, why would I do that when
You don't have anybody backing you up.
There's no one backing me to sit so like literally I could fix it. It could rain the next day and it could be right back here because no one is like, there's no security keeping an eye on it, or anyone like me at the Meridian Park, or Dustin at the Boise Park, or Rob at the Eagle Park.
As a gate, you guys swing, it says park closed.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems to be like a lot of people respect that. They don't go.
It's not 100%. Like people either, like the other day, I had the gate closed and I went and ate lunch and I came back and there was people riding inside the park and I was like, hey guys.
Oh, is that why you posted that on Instagram?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I was like, hey guys, like it's closed. And they're like, oh, we just thought you guys hadn't opened it yet. And it's like, no, like they were just getting out. They're like, yeah, we noticed it was way too wet still. And I was like, that's why it's still closed. So you're dealing with people. It's hard because in this genre of bike parks and stuff, you're dealing with people who don't know. Yeah. They just don't know. Like it's not like they're not trying to go and mess stuff up. They just don't know. Mm-hmm. And then you're dealing with people who do know, who don't care if they mess up. Like it's all about me. It's like I do whatever I want type deal. So it's hard to kind of figure out which is which. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because it's messed up. So the difference is like Meridian pays me to go and fix it. So like that's my job. It's like every day I go out there and get a check on it and see what lips need to be done or whatever. Napa's just not willing to do that. So that's the hard part.
And it seems like Nampa is like really behind on bringing in a very dialed and clean, even like concrete park. Both their parks are very old, very outdated, not built well at all, designed well, I should say. Where Caldwell has a really nice park next to the racetrack, and then as you go further out, Star,
better.
Yeah. The only other one I can think is not very well is oh my god, what was the name of that? Cuna. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Cuna's the same way. Which Cuna's skate park is crazy.
No, that
skate park is like that. And
I don't know what they were thinking when they built that skate park.
As soon as I walked up to that, I was like, "This is more like my brother and Chris Fox."
No, it's an expert level.
That's like I was like, "I'll let them have fun in this thing." Like I wrote a little bit, and I was like, "No, this is me 10 years ago."
Yeah,
I'm not into that.
No, the first time I rolled up on it, I was like, I looked and I was like, nope. I'm gonna pull my camera out and take pictures.
Yeah. But I mean, Cuna, they've put like 1,000 new houses around there in the last year or so. Like that, they've got to have an influx of money coming into their Parks and Rec. That they maybe they'll build another skate park eventually.
Yeah, and they have a bike park, and I know that the guys who are building it out there, like they mean well for sure. Like I saw what they're doing. I think they got some ramps from American Ramp Company, I want to say.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just locals maintaining
it. Yeah. And they're not getting paid anything to do
it.
It's just from my understanding.
They're just doing it.
It's just a matter of like, again, the knowledge base of the people who are doing it. Like they only know what they know. Like they'll keep getting better because as long as they keep doing it, it's the same people that keep doing it. They'll get better and better and better at it. But also if you don't have the city fully backing you, it's hard. It's hard when you have public on it day in and day out messing things up. It's hard.
Yeah.
So
well, with you kind of being inside the city and knowing how they work, I guess my question is, what would it take for Nampa to get a nice concrete and dirt jump park out here?
So that was the reason why they hired me to rebuild that one out there. What is the name of that park? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
It's Lakeview Park. That bike park is eventually going to go away. It's not going to stay there.
Yeah.
Which is not a big deal. I mean, the grade out there's not really much of a hill or like it's a flat space. It's a weird small. It's not really a good place for it in the first place. The reason why they paid me to rebuild it was to see if there was a need to make something bigger. Which is why I tried to get like Swimba and I tried to get a bunch of companies and people out in this area. Hey, everyone show up to the grand opening. So that way, that's how a city, because the city goes out to that. That's how a city knows, like, oh, there's a scene for this and people want this. So if 100 people show up, they're like, hey, we need to keep doing things like this. It makes them look good, right?
Yeah.
So, but if like, I mean, how many people did we have that day? Like 10? 15?
No, there's more than
20?
maybe 20.
20. So
Maybe
we'll just say
20
20 people.
It was
So
maxed out.
It was good. It was good for considering it was a 4 o'clock on a Friday. It was whatever 100 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like the best setup for it being a successful deal, but I was hoping more people would show up, whether they rode or not, just to show up to support. Because they were talking about building a big bike park that was kind of rival. I think like Eagles essentially is what they were wanting to do. So it's on their brains. They're aware that this needs to be done. I just don't know if they saw enough from that grand opening and from since it's been reopened to say, yeah, let's go forward with this. I don't know. It's definitely the biggest thing is people probably need to call the city and just say, hey, we need a bike park, like a big bike park. We need an Eagle. We need a Boise or whatever. And show that there's an interest in it. That's the city doesn't know unless they can, when they're driving out and checking things out throughout the city, they see people using it, or people are calling in about it, or else they have so many different facets they're dealing with. Like it's not really on their radar, So
it just seems weird to me because, like I said, from the whole stretch of 84, like there's all these brand new, wonderful parks popping up, and Nampa seems to be really behind on that.
They are. Mm-hmm. I know, like you said, the skate park. They're hoping to build a new skate park, and then there's talks about a bike park, but I don't know. I think we'll for sure get the skate park. I just don't know if it'll be all tied together. They'll do a skate park and a bike park. I mean, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
keeping all those, all action sports in the same area, and then just build more from there. But I don't know if they're going to build a bike park or not. I hope they do, but I know that they were talking to American Ramp Company, the company I used to work for. They've been in talks with them. I just don't know if they're willing. They were looking at doing, I think, at least over $1 million dollar bike park. So it's just, I mean, that's a lot of money to spend if you don't think people are going to use it.
Yeah,
so it's just a matter of whether they're willing. They see the need for it. So,
and it's also like that double-edged sword where if you build it, they will come kind of the situation.
That's the hard, and that's why I told them. I said, if you build a swimming pool but you don't put any water in it, no one's going to swim in it. Like that's essentially what they have out there at Lakeview, where I tried to make it as best I could with the little bit of resources I had. Like the dirt, I asked them to give me a certain amount of dirt, and they didn't give me as much as I was hoping for. And then I was on a budget that didn't allow me to just go rent a skiddy for a month. And it was during the time where we were rebuilding the Meridian Park, or building the new stuff. So it's like I was literally going and working on the jumps out at Meridian all day, and then leaving there, going to Nampa, and using a dude who lent me a skiddy and Lasher Landscaping. His name Brandon Lasher, and he was literally just donating a skiddy to us, which was super cool. But I was also on his schedule. That was the hard thing. I can't just be like, hey, I need it every day this week. He would be like, I need it too the next month. So you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where it wasn't the best scenario in the sense of like trying to get it, there's just was a lot of the NAMP wasn't fully supporting it in the sense of like, they gave me as best as I could, but I didn't get everything I was hoping for. And then I had no water. So I had a water trailer, and half the time the city of Nampa said that they were going to let me use their water trailer. They ended up taking it back, so I didn't get it. So there'd be times where I'd show up and I'd have no water, and you can't build without water. It's impossible. If you want to do it right. So there was just a lot of variables, and it's a lot of excuses. But I mean, I did the best I could with what I had. So
that's kind of where my mindset is with these parks and that park, the concrete parks in that park. It's like, this is what we have, but it's so hard to ride them. Like I'd rather just go spend 20 minutes driving to downtown.
And it's sad because that was the thing. One of the things I was really trying to get through to Nampa was like, hey, people are driving from Caldwell even further outside of that to go all the way to Boise because they don't have anything good before that. Like if you build something really good, you'll get people riding.
Well, they will stop. Yeah.
Because then they don't have to go all the way to Boise. I mean, obviously it's good to have variety. Like there's going to be days where those people are going to drive to Boise because they want to go ride it because they haven't ridden it for a while. But give them a place that's more local that they can, ride a couple times a week. I tried to let them know, and the hard part is
the Parks and Rec department is really good out here. Like from what I seeing West Park out here, they keep this place dialed up.
Yeah. I don't have a ton of intel on that just because I've literally talked to maybe 3 people at Parks and Rec out here in Nampa just because of who I was dealing with, Cody that was at the city, he was like one of the higher ups, and he was great to deal with, and he got me what he felt like he could get me, but until they jump both feet in, that's what it's going to take. Yeah, that's the hard thing is like, cities only have a certain amount of resources. So paying a person, whatever it ends up being, if you're paying them $20 to $25 an hour, that's up to $50,000 a year. Yeah. To take care of the bike park, that's hard for a city who doesn't see the need for it to swallow. Yeah. So,
let alone the building of it.
That's just for that one person
after it's built.
Yeah. So it's hard, kudos to the cities that do it and seeing that there is a need for it.
And maybe a few years down the road, a commitment like that isn't something that you can just jump right into. It takes a few years of planning to commit.
And I feel like city leaders talk with each other. They all know each other.
For sure.
So when one city leader saying, "Oh, the new park that we built here is doing this," and having this influx of people, this city parks over here doing that we just built is doing this influx of people.
I tried to get Cody to come out to Meridian Park just to show him like this is what it looks like, and he wasn't. He didn't come out, but which is kind of why I'm saying like there's like 1 foot in, but not willing to jump all the way in. Is like there's things that you do. Meridian was all in because they were going to Boise Bike Park to go check out what do we need to do to make this park good. They were going to Eagle and talking to people, like saying, like, do we need to hire someone in-house, or can we, do we need to hire a BMX rider or a bike rider? Thankfully, they made the right choice, and because you can't have someone who doesn't know bike parks and doesn't know, you can't just have some guy who knows construction doing it. No, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately. So, you have to, in order to do it right, you literally have to jump both feet in, or else it's not going to work. Yeah. So that's just the way it is. I think Nampa I hope that they will, get there, and it's just a matter of seeing a need for it. Like I said, whether that is people are going out there and riding the one that's here already, or people calling in or going to city council meetings and saying, "Hey, we need this. We need a bigger bike park. We need." So that's, I think if there is a couple,
a small, even if it's just a small group of people that are actually committed to it, that help lay the steps necessary to do so for the city. Yeah. Always getting petitions, getting people to sign petitions, getting people to go to meetings. Yep. That's what it takes to do something.
When I approached them originally, they used an example with the Frisbee golf guys. They said when they built the Frisbee golf thing, those guys created a group of Frisbee golfers that were all like-minded and stuff. And whenever holes needed change or they needed to move something or this or that, the group would talk to the city and they would take care of it. And that almost takes one step off of the city having a group do it, So then they become, it's kind of like a swimba, almost, where it's like they become the advocacy group, where now everything's run through that channel, and it makes it to where it's easy for the city to communicate with someone that knows what the Frisbee golf people need, or the bike, for us would be for the bike guys. What do you guys need? And I mean, even just like I was trying so hard just to get them to get water out there for me. And it was like, we can't do it right now. And I was like, okay. So like, it just takes, it can't just be me saying we need this.
Yeah.
Because that's only one person.
Yeah, you need a group.
And they're paying me to do this. So of course I'm going to say we need this. You know what I mean? So like, it takes a group of people saying this is what we need. So until they see that, until that happens, which we kind of tried to do that, it just was not, I guess, not the right time for it. I took that example that they gave with the Frisbee golf thing, and I tried to create, like, I think it was called like Ride Nampa something. I went to the bike shops. I went to Rolling H, and I went to, what was the other one that's over there? Cafferty's. And talked to Cafferty's, and they were coming out to, like, we started having meetings. Levi was coming. We had, like, I don't know, 10 people showing up each meeting, and we were trying to start at least something. I traveled at that time, so I wasn't able to do it all the time. So once I wasn't able to be there all the time, like when I started getting busy, it kind of just fell apart, and it just ended up not going any further. So it just is going to take someone who really has the ability to lead up a group, or, you know, get a group of people together and just keep letting the city know we need this. And then I think it can happen. So
that's something that I think we need definitely try to look into again.
Yeah. I mean, you're a bike shop here, so it's definitely, you know, probably enough people around here that you could probably get something going between, I feel like between the people that we know that are in the city, like we could get something going.
I mean, there's a lot of bike shops around here. You get some of the owners of these bike shops together, and now you got a group of people that are affected financially by if there's another bike park around here.
And that's what I was trying to do. I was like.
Yeah, and that's I was gonna suggest the same thing is if we go to the bike shops and go, hey, this will financially benefit you.
And that's what I told him.
We get this.
That's what I told him.
Literally, you'll see an influx of
when I originally started this whole thing. That's what I told him. Like, this is gonna help everybody. Like, it'll help me because the city's gonna pay me to build it, and it'll also give me a place to ride. It's gonna help you guys because more people are going to be riding, and they're going to be coming and needing bikes, and they're going to go to the closest bike shop to where this bike park is, which is you guys.
Yeah.
And it just snowballs from there. And it's hard because I know it was a Friday, and it was like, 4:00 on Friday, that grand opening that we had, but none of them showed up. No one showed up from any of the bike shops. So, and that's not a knock on them. It's just the way, whether they were busy or whatever. I mean, I threw out the information to everyone, and I know Rolling H, they have nothing to do with BMX. It's literally all mountain bike stuff. Yeah. And that bike park that's here, it's not like an Eagle where they have mountain bike stuff. It's, it's for dirt jumpers and BMX bikes. So
I can totally see people getting on their mountain bikes and hitting on.
Yeah, I mean, you totally can. It's just a matter of, like, there wasn't anything specifically built for mountain bikes.
Yeah, it's not downhill. It's just jumps.
Not which I wanted to do that, but again, I just didn't have the time to do it.
Yeah. There's no vertical,
and there wasn't a lot of space for it. Like, they're just
that one out there is very small, very tight.
Yeah. So we did the best we could. Hopefully, either we, can get a group of people together and keep kind of pushing for more, or I don't know how far it'll go besides that. It just is what it is. So it's a matter of people supporting the scene and making it happen.
So American Ramp, so they build concrete parks or indoor parks?
No, they build bike parks. So I'm trying to think of one that you guys would. You ever heard of Sapwee Bike Park? Okay, that's in it's like north of LA. They built that one. They built one we built one in Ohio, Menifee. I mean, they built a lot throughout the U.S. They do. So American Ramp Company is based out of Missouri, and they're kind of like the umbrella head of 7 different companies. So they have a company called Pivot that does concrete skate parks. They own the name of Velo Solutions. They're associated with Velo, so I don't know exactly how that all works.
Maybe it's like a subcontract,
something
or
like that
kind of relationship.
I don't know exactly how it works, but they're tied with Velo. that does the asphalt pump tracks, and then they own they bought out my friend's company. My friend is Alex Fowler. He owns a company called Action Sports Construction, and they bought him out, and basically he builds bike parks. So, what up?
What up?
And so they do.
You guys doing your podcast?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck you there. I'm going on this one to do it.
All right.
Come join, dude. Don't you want to talk about something?
I've got nothing cool to say. As soon as I get up in there, everybody will shut it off.
Yeah, right. So ARC builds. They have all these different companies, and the facet of Action Sports Construction does like bike parks, and then they also own a wooden ramp company. I can't think of the name of it. I always forget the name of it. But they sell like wooden ramps, so the wooden takeoffs and stuff that you see it.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are out at Eagle, on that new line out at Eagle.
Yeah, all those wooden takeoffs where it's like 2x4 with a metal frame.
Those are American ramp.
That's American ramp
Yeah,
companies.
So
Yeah, and I see a lot of those up at Woodward, Tahoe,
Mhm.
around in the Tahoe area. There's like 3 or 4 bike parks right there, and they
So-
all have that.
Action Sports Construction built those.
Yeah, Action Sports
So-
Construction.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, see. Yep.
And the Boise Bike Park too, are all the takeoffs there.
So the Boise's bike park was built by Alpine,
Mhm.
which is the same company that built Meridians.
Oh, okay.
I heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that Alpine's no longer a thing. I don't know how true it is, but so
And that's got to be a tough business to be in because that's such a niche area, and there's only so much being built at any time.
well, I think it's actually a good area to be in at this moment, just because so many cities are now catching on to, hey, we need this in our city.
Mhm.
So, from my understanding, I mean, ARC is booked out for like the next 5 years. Like they're pretty dialed from my understanding. So, the hard part is exactly what we were just talking about: getting a city to understand what
And jumping
the right thing,
Yeah.
to jump in with both feet and understand like this. Like, I've been on too many jobs where we're building dirt jumps on a flat grade of land, and it just does not work.
Mhm.
It's like so hard to do. You know, the Menifee Bike Park that we built in California, we showed up to build it, and the direction we were supposed to be going was uphill. So it was like, all right, well, now, we were going to start building the first 2 weeks, start like laying out landings and stuff like that. Now we have to spend the first 2 weeks like grading this whole thing. It just makes it really hard when you show up and it's just not the right plot of land that doesn't have any grade to it. So it's just kind of, you just have to deal with the hand that you're given and try to make it work the best you can. So
Is there a spot in your mind that would work well out here for that? Because I'm trying to process that's not flattened out, and it seems like the main core of Nampa is pretty flat.
I know that they were talking about trying to do something with they were talking about somewhere that was like a old recycle like dump area. I don't know exactly where. I don't know.
Is that out towards Marsing?
Maybe. What's that place What's that pickle place that the people go ride motorcycles at? It's like something pickle or pickle Butte or
Something like that. I think
Is it Turtle
out
Butte?
that way.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought it was something pickle, but I could be wrong.
I think there's Lizard's Butte. There's in Marsing. There's a Lizard's Butte. It looks like a lizard.
It's in Nampa. I don't know. I know it's towards the outskirts, but yeah. I mean, to me, it's like if you don't have a place with grade, like I said, like there's plenty of dirt being moved around. Like just bring dirt in. It doesn't have to be good dirt because you're just trying to create a grade.
Yeah.
So the good dirt only needs to be used for the actual jumps. It doesn't need to be used for your grade.
Yeah.
So just bring junk in and just throw down it, as much as you can and just make a grade and then start there. That's the best thing you can do. Obviously if it has to be flat ground, you can do it. It just makes it a lot harder for the builders.
Yeah, it's more expensive, takes more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot. So like, not saying I've seen everything.
I mean, it's possible.
It's possible. It is possible.
You just have to work for the speed a little bit more. Maybe your can't go as big.
Look at it this way: the plot of land that the Meridian Bike Park was built on was flat.
Yeah. No, all the downhill is man-made.
It took 3 weeks.
Yeah.
In a dozer.
Yeah.
And now you don't have flat ground anymore. That's all it takes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can, if you have the right equipment operator and the money, and you're willing to do it, you can create grade, as long as you have a place that you can cut into it and make a grade with. So it's not impossible. It's just a matter of money, really, and that's how it is most of the time, right? Like,
I mean, even with the newer side, there are days where I just go out there with a skid steer and just pile up dirt all day with a skid steer.
The skid steer is not enough.
You need a dozer if you're
you
moving.
need a dozer, or you need a dozer.
You know, I'm moving individual rocks.
Yeah, it's skid steers. That's the thing is, like, in order to do it right, you got to have the right equipment. You got to have the right tools, or else I've learned that over my years. You know, I remember we built a pump track one time, me and my buddy Nathan Sykes, and we built a pump track in Temecula. And it was one of the first times that I had built for someone else. Normally, the stuff I had built was whenever I built something by myself, not with other people, it was just for myself. It wasn't for a customer. You know what I mean? This is one of the first times I built for an actual customer that was my customer, not someone I was working for, a customer. And I rent a skiddy, have my buddy Nathan come out and help me. Spent the first day stacking the whole pump track, second day shaping the whole thing, and then the third day Nathan started on one side and I started on the other, and we had flathead shovels in our hand, and we shovel packed the whole pump track. And, like, you know, we're halfway through and we're like, dude, there's got to be a better way to do this. And then shortly after that, I went and built a pump track with Randy Menenga and Adam Eloise. And I remember meeting up with Adam, and he was like, I was asking, do you just shovel pack it? And he was like, no, you use a compactor. And I was like, those work? And he's like, dude, they work awesome. And he's like, why would you ever shovel pack this thing? And I was like, yeah, it's a good question. Why would you do that? And so I actually got to use a compactor on that job. And I was like, dude, my back and my wrists are so thankful. I don't have to shovel pack everything anymore. So obviously, shovels are a tool that are irreplaceable. Like, you can only do some things with the shovel. Yeah. But yeah, if you have the right tool, it makes things go a lot faster and a lot easier. So that's that. So
gotcha.
Well,
what else you got?
What else do I got?
Yeah. What should we talk about?
I want to talk about that dirt bike you gave me.
We don't need to talk.
We want to talk about that?
No one wants to know about that.
Dude, that dirt bike is sick.
Yeah, I'm stoked that you're getting right.
I'm just stoked. I don't even know there's a lot to talk about it. But it's just leaking suspension, forks and shocks leaking.
It'll
buff out. That's been my life. Like, just working on bikes has been my life for the last few weeks. And my cruiser, I've been trying to figure out how to get it. The starter button doesn't work. Thought it was a solenoid, not the solenoid. Tore it apart, tested every single wire throughout the whole bike, couldn't find it. And then I did actually find it today. The culprit of why it wasn't starting. So because it's a 1-cylinder cruiser, it's a 650. Those things are really hard to start. Mm-hmm. It has this engine timing compensation unit, which basically when it times a starter with the engine in a way that gives it power when it needs power and doesn't give it power when it doesn't need power.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it start better. That's my understanding of it, at least. And it had a shorted fuse. And so $70 later, I bought a new part online, and hopefully that is actually what.
You haven't gotten to see it.
I haven't got to see it. You know, when I shorted, I tested it and it doesn't work. So if that is the only thing that doesn't work, then it should fix the problem. But
let's hope.
You know, I'm 2 weeks into tearing this cruiser apart, trying to figure out how to start it.
That's frustrating when it's something like that.
Yeah,
but you'll figure it out. You're a smart guy.
It's a pain in the ass. But I'm not an electrician. I don't know how people do that.
Yeah. Same.
And my dad was a helicopter mechanic, and he was talking about some of these electricians that work on these helicopters, and there's wiring harnesses that run throughout these entire Black Hawk helicopters that are 40 feet long, and these guys one guy would spend 3 weeks trying to find the one wire that is slightly corroded and grounding out the whole circuit, which is preventing it from starting. And so they'd have 150 feet worth of wiring harnesses completely torn apart. And this dude's just looking for one faulty wire for days.
And
I'd go crazy.
People's lives are depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, no.
Literally, that's
literally
gnarly, dude.
Helicopters are gnarly pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
People
I see why electricians make a lot of money, and I for one think that they should be, because that's not easy.
Sure.
That's painful.
For sure.
You never know when you're going to find a solution to the problem.
No, I tell people all the time, like, they'll ask me a question about this, or I'll have a problem in life with my house or something like that, and I'm like, man, unless it's building a dirt jump, I really don't know what I'm doing. So,
yeah.
I'm not like this super handy dude that's like can just do everything. I know dirt. That's about it. So I understand.
Yeah.
Outside of playing in the dirt, what else you
do? Hang out with the family, really. Like nowadays, like I don't even. I mean, obviously my job is working on the bike park and stuff, so I do get to still play in the dirt, but that's not really my motivation as much anymore. It's just more my family, getting to hang out with. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old and my wife, and so just trying to wrangle them together and teach them life and life lessons, and that's really what most of my time is spent doing nowadays. Going to church and trying to continue with my relationship with God, and that's like definitely a high priority of myself and my family, which is up there. And every once in a while, I get to see my brother. My brother rides professionally still. And
is Matt thinking about moving up here?
I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think so. Not at the moment, anyways. He's in Colorado now. He loves, that's where we grew up. So he loves it out there, and he has, a lot of good friends out there that he gets to ride with. And he's still somewhat, I would say he's still, riding. He rides at a high level, obviously, and still trying to kind of do it, So I think until that motivation changes and he's not, trying to ride to make his living, I don't know if he'll leave, because Colorado has so many good like skate parks and stuff to ride. There's so many good things to ride.
I've never been.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would say it's probably even a step above Portland. I know Portland has a lot of really good places to ride and stuff like that. So it's like it's similar, where there's just so many good concrete waves to ride. And I think Chris Fox lives out there, and so you get to see him here and there and stuff, and he gets to see he has good people to ride with. So the scene here is just different compared to that. So I don't, and I'm not saying it's in a bad way. It's just different.
I think it's a hidden gem that hasn't really been tapped
for sure
on riders of that level and that caliber.
For sure.
I mean, there's definitely some great local hero riders that I know. Melville being one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, to hit that level of pro level, that elite level, is still, I think there's a lot of opportunity
for sure. And it's hard because this is just a place where not a lot of people venture to, in the sense of like the higher level riders. Obviously there's people that do come out here and there, but it's just like you said, it's just somewhat of an untapped source that people don't really know about. So I mean, I didn't before I moved here. Like I had no idea what the riding scene was like until I moved here, because I had never even really ridden here. So but there are people that shred. It's just hard because I came from Colorado, which had a really good scene, and then California. California's on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it comes to the dirt jumping, the skate park scene. It's weird because the skate parks aren't super great out there, but they just have, it's California, you can do it all the time. So, so it's just there's just a lot of good riders out there. So, and that's where, back in the day, all the magazines were and stuff like that. So it's just a different scene. It's just not as many people know about this place just because it's not like, hey, we got to go. Dude, there's that park in Boise that, whatever. Obviously there's roads and stuff and it's a good park, but it's not, at where everyone, it's a desired, it's not a desired destination to go to and ride, in that sense. But I think with the bike parks, like with the Boise bike park, I mean, obviously that's a super cool bike park. That's got a lot of cool stuff. I think that's a place that people really want to go and check out. And I think Eagle's more on the mountain bike side of things that is really desired to go to, but still got really cool stuff. And then hopefully Meridian will be somewhat of a desired place to go to. We only have so much space, so it's not as big as some of the others, but having those places where people are like, hey, we can go visit and we can hit here, that helps.
Yeah.
Where there's not just one place to go ride. Either I got to have one really awesome place to go ride, or, some just, 10 really good places to go ride. You know what I mean? And I think we're getting there. So that's cool. But yeah, it's a great scene out here. It's just different than what I have known in Colorado and California.
I think as we get the word out, as it starts to grow,
for sure.
And I feel like there's a lot of
more people.
Good opportunity for street riding as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which is way far away from any of my knowledge. I like landings. I'm 40 now, so I like landing on a landing. But
I like being out with the guys and taking pictures
For sure.
and filming.
For sure.
But yeah,
street riding's fun.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. It's just not. I'm at the point in my life where I only have so much time. So if I'm going to go ride, it's going to be either riding jumps or like my mountain bike or something. But yeah, there's good riding out here for sure.
having little ones makes a difference in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're a good dad,
Yeah.
it should be your priority, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like I can't just go do whatever I want anymore, which is fine. I gotta live that life for a while. So getting to ride at a pro level and stuff.
So you rode professionally.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by professional. It wasn't like I made a ton of money doing it. I was depending on riding as my living for sure. I rode in, I don't know, probably 10 years of doing like professional contests and stuff like that. There's only a few that I made finals in and actually did good in. It's hard because it's a judge sport. So
yeah,
you're not saying that I should have been in every finals that I entered. But there's times where I feel like if you didn't have the right helmet on with the right stickers, or you didn't know this person or that person, maybe you weren't going to get scored as high. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I should have been in this or that, but I had fun doing what I was doing, and I got to ride professional contests. I mean, there's times where I got to compete. I was competing against Nyquist and Nastasio and like all the boys that I grew up looking up to. So it was like really cool for me. And then now my brother, like he's taken it the next step than I've even taken it. So getting to see him do it is cool too. So, but yeah, I rode. I would say I was like a lower level pro, I guess you could say, maybe.
Okay. Flow rider, but I mean, you were
full professional. If that's
I was getting paid, but not
if you were riding and getting paid, and that was your goal at that time, I would consider that being
and I made most of my money either from building or from doing shows. Like I rode for Team Soil. I don't know if you know Bar Spinner, Ryan Brennan. He's was a Sheep Hills local. I grew up watching him. Like he was in the era of like Nasty and Fuzzy Hall and Adam Eloise and all these guys. So he started his own show company in basically Orange County, and I got to be a part of that team for around 10 years or so. And it was some of the best memories for sure. So that was where most of my income came from. I didn't, like I said, I would do a lot of contests, and there was towards the end of my career, what I would actually consider my career, I made finals. Like I made finals at Red Bull Dreamline, which was probably the biggest one that I did. I got 10th at the New Mexico round, and then I got 8th at a contest that was in Mexico. So there was some that were professional contests that I did do well in, but like back then, like the Dew Tours were really big, and I entered a lot of them, the ones that were the open qualifier ones, and I was like most of the time the first guy to not make it out of open qualify. I was like, they took 12 and I finished like 13th almost every time. So either a lack of skill or just the judges didn't.
I mean, when you start getting into that deep into the pond, so to speak, like you get a lot of talent.
And it's also,
and it's not saying that a writer is less talented. It's just, there's a lot of talent.
Yeah, it's just a lot of talent, and also you're dealing with judges, so you're like, it's the eye of the beholder. You know, like what they see is what they're going to score high. What they consider a high score is what a high score. You know, it's hard because there was sometimes I was doing runs. You know, I remember specifically, I want to say maybe it was Chicago Dew Tour. Like I had a kid. There was a dude who made it the finals, and his run was like no-hander the first set, turned down the second set, no-hander turned down the third set to 360 tail whip. And he got 12th or whatever it was like top 12 make it. He got 12th, and I finished 13th. And I did like, I want to say it was probably no-hander the first set, one-footed X up to toboggan the second set, flip no-hander to turn down the third set, and then 360 tail whip the last set. And I finished behind him. And it's like, wait, what? Like, but there's more than just like, oh, well, I was doing, maybe he was doing his, like he was style cat. So, you know, maybe he was just having, they were like, oh, his style, we like his style better than his style.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's just there's so many facets of judging that it's like, it's hard to, I'm not sitting here saying I should have made it and he shouldn't. Obviously, I'm going to be biased to myself because I wanted to make it. But it's hard when you're in any of those guys' position that are in the open qualifying and you're trying to make it. You have to be your biggest fan because if you're not, no one cares about you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. Like you have to. So, I want to say it was that year. It was either that year or I think it was that year. A lot of the guys that had made the finals and that were, you know, the big names at that time. I remember Cam White and like TJ Lavin specifically coming up to me and being like, dude, you got robbed. You should have made it. And I'm pretty sure they talked to the judges because I actually got a wild card position for the Orlando Dew Tour. That was the last round that year in Florida. And I finished, I think, 16th in that one. So like top 12 made it the finals. So I was like 4 positions from making it the finals, essentially. So I finished right behind Corey Bowen, which Corey's one of the best riders that, you know, dirt jumping's ever seen. So I can't really be upset at that. Like, it's like I did things that I never thought I would accomplish. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. God truly blessed me. I'm very thankful for all the memories and the good things that I got to do. And I mean, getting to hang my hat and say like, God, I finished 10th place at Red Bull Dreamline. I feel like that's almost as good as saying I finished 10th place at X Games. Yeah, in that sense, like Red Bull Dreamline was the gnarliest. Like it was the gnarliest contest dirt jumping has seen, in my opinion. BMX dirt jumping anyway. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to say a few things like that I can look back and be thankful for and happy about. So, yeah. And I walked away.
I think that's freaking awesome. Like, yeah. and you're still, you know, in that world of being able to build jumps, and work for a city and have a family and do all that stuff. For sure,
I'm still somewhat tapped into the BMX and get to have a small hand in things. And yeah, it's you know, looking back when I was growing up, 13, 14, started racing, and I remember watching like the KODs and the DK dirt circuits growing up. Just seeing like what seemed like such a whole nother world, you know, to me, of like, man, it'd be so cool to do that. I never thought in a million years that I would actually get to make it to like being at, you know, that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to even think about that. I made it that far. Mm-hmm. body's not extremely excited about it in the sense of probably crashing and stuff. But I'd like to think it was worth it. Ask me, in another 20 years if I still think it was worth it or not. But yeah, definitely thankful and grateful. Got to do some of the things that I got to do, and it's cool being able to see, my brother take it to where he's taking it and stuff, and whole, the level. He's, like I said, and I remember growing up, it was, Matt was always Joey's brother. Like, it wasn't Matt, it was Joey's brother. Okay. Just because I was almost 6 years older than him. So I was just at a different age where I was able to, I was doing more things than he was when he was, 12 years old. I was 18 almost. Yeah. So I was always, it was Joey and Joey's brother. And then, I remember there was just a turning point where he kind of came into his own. And then now I'm Matt's brother. I think that's Matt's brother. So it's cool that it's kind of shifted, and I gotten to see the cool things that he's gotten to do, and the Fast and Loose boys, and those guys are all my friends. Corey Walsh and Chris Fox. I used to live with Chris, so I lived with Chris for 3 or 4 years, and he's a good buddy of mine. So getting to see the cool things that they've gotten to do, and like when they were doing those like Vans, like the Pro Cup series and stuff like that, like the concrete, like the skate park.
Yeah, those were sick. They need to bring those back.
They're so cool.
They were so cool.
It was cool.
Well, they were judged on the style and the height.
Yeah, it was cool.
So it wasn't about doing 4 tail whips. It was
exactly
about, how they rode, not.
Which is what BMX is missing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to knock on like the tricks and stuff. Like, dude, watching X Games and like even just like the triple challenges,
the Olympics.
It's gnarly, dude. I'm so glad I'm so glad I'm not like a 15-year-old kid now going, man, that's what I have to do in order to make it. Like,
yeah, backflips are normal. Double backflips.
Yeah. Like
double backflip tail whips now.
Yeah, it's
double backflip, double tail whips, front flip 1080s.
No, it's on a whole nother level. That is.
And that was what was cool about the Vans contest. It was like, and they needed it in dirt jumping too, in my opinion. Like, it's what's missing is the style part of BMX, where it's not there is a place for the tricks, there's a place for the gnarly contest, because that's part of what people want to see.
That's progression.
But there's also the other side of it where, in my opinion, what kid is sitting down watching TV, watching X Games and going, dude, you know what? I think I could do that. like when I was a kid, like seeing Brian Foster do a 360 one-handed table, I was like, dude, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I want to do that. Yeah. I don't know if there's, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just because I'm old, but I can't imagine there's kids who are sitting on their couch saying, I want to do that. Like, what a cash flow,
I remember coming up and I'd watch some Chris Fox and Matt did some edits, and they're all talking about the flow state. Yeah. And like you're one with the bike, and that's what really took my attention,
for sure.
At least for a certain period of time when I was a teenager.
For sure.
And that it doesn't have to be about the biggest, gnarliest trick. You're just trying to enjoy riding a bike.
No.
Get you and the homies out there and ride.
I feel like, and this is no knock on anyone in the sport, I'm not saying there's an endless amount of money and that contests are just easy to be held. I know it's not easy right now in any facet of the sport, but it just, I feel like when I was growing up, you would be able to watch, you could literally have a person with no label on their clothing. Like, you could not know who it was, like not know the stickers on their helmet, but because of the way that they were riding, you could be like, oh, that's Sean Butler. Oh, that's Nyquist. Oh, like you knew their style because the way that they were riding. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I feel like that's a lot harder to do because literally almost all the tricks.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you on that. Like, I see the way Kieran Riley does a quadruple tail whip, and I see the way Logan Martin does a quadruple tail whip. They do it differently.
But
and it's like you can see it in the way they pump the transition. They all, the height of their body makes them have to do different weird nitnoid things. And then some of them, they always catch pedal. Some of them, they catch crank arm. Yeah. And I mean, obviously there's less style because they're not focused on as much style. They're focused on, the trick more than the style.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you took away all, that looks like Kieran Riley, and I'm just watching a robot do a quadruple tail whip, I could tell it's him doing a quadruple tail whip because of the way he moves his body.
Maybe you could, but maybe like, a kid who's sitting on the couch who doesn't know a ton about it, like they're gonna I don't know if that's the person I'm talking about knowing it, but I just feel like I'll have to show you some of my old VHS tapes that I have and let you see like old Gravity games and stuff like that. Like people's styles were just so much more distinct back then. And again, it's not like a knock on BMX. Like obviously I've bled for the sport. Like I enjoy it. I care about it, and I still want to see people enjoy it. It's just, I just feel like it, we have the trick side of things. It'd be cool to have more stuff like the Vans contest geared towards the style guys who may not be doing the quadruple tail whips, but can roast a quarter or roast a set of dirt jumps and throw the sickest, backseat grab.
A quadruple tail whip over a box jump is just as impressive as a 16-foot air on a quarter pipe.
I wouldn't disagree.
It's that's what I'm saying. Especially if it's just at a skate park.
I think both are needed, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think
these high air competitions are terrifying. It's
for sure.
It's ridiculous.
Like seeing Larry Edgar boost out of a quarter of 15 feet and throw a flatty, a tabletop, dude, it's so sick. No, and that new kid, that Josh Dove kid,
yeah,
dude, that kid is sick. So I don't know,
he just oozes style. I don't he figured out. He's like, oh, that's what looks good. I'm gonna do that.
For sure.
And he just does it. The way he rides is just
it's fun to watch.
Style.
It's fun to watch. Weird. It makes me when I see that, I'm like, dude, I want to go ride. And then when I watch, the trick dudes do whatever, the casual tail whips and bar spin, I'm like, I'm out. I'm out on that.
I don't remember what competition it was, but it was a competition this last week. He did a sit down 720. So he's going off the takeoff, sitting down, and then he did 720, and that one best trick. I'm like, what in the? How do you?
So
whatever.
Back in the day, I used to do sit down. I was doing sit down flips.
Mm-hmm.
I do sit down flip to turn down or something like that. It was cool. And then one that I did that I don't feel like I've seen too many people do yet, moto dudes used to do it, is I took off can, I jump, land can, and then flip from a can, go back over to turn down, seeing cool stuff like that. Dude, sit down.
There's this one Argentinian rider that does a bunch of stuff like that. He'll do a half bar spin, flare, double bar spin, and land sick. Still, oppo bars, and then he'll do that weird thing, and you do a double tail.
And that's what I'm talking about. Style, that's his. Seeing that's the kind of stuff I'm like, dude, I get hyped on that.
Yeah,
when you're like, dude, it's not. Again, I'm not knocking on the tricks, the gnarly tricks. Dude, there's a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's needed. People need to be able to go watch an X Games and be like, dude, this is so far out of my realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy.
It's a circus.
But what needs the other side of it, in my opinion, too, because I feel like one is kind of a fantasy of there's no way I could ever do that.
Mm-hmm.
But someone going and seeing my brother or Chris Fox do, a tabletop, or Chris Fox look back, you're just like, dude, that looks so cool. I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah, and you
know what I mean?
You can actually figure it out.
It's somewhat relatable.
Yeah.
Maybe you may not do it 10 feet high out of the quarter pipe like Chris Fox does or my brother does, but you can still do it and be like, I can click into it and I don't know. I feel like that's
the better you get. And tabletop is one of those tricks where you're gonna always be getting better at it.
For sure.
It's one little twitch at a time that you just keep slowly getting better at it.
Yeah, I just think that's needed. I think it would be I'm not a huge fan of street, just because I didn't grow up doing that, and but for me to sit here and say no, let's just get rid of street and only focus on dirt, that would be foolish of me to say, because they're all needed.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Street is needed. Different styles in street are needed, the big tricks and the style tricks, and with this conversation of what you guys are talking about, I'm sitting here thinking I believe that there's a new renaissance coming around the corner that because of what you're saying is
everyone got excited and hyped over these wild and crazy game mechanic type tricks.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's led too far one way, and everyone's like, "Oh, hey, what about this stuff over here?" And so I think there's going to be this renaissance where it's just going to,
I hope so,
morph itself into all that,
the
all
culture,
that stuff again.
You know, every like 10 years, the culture is different, and it just sort of pushes one direction, pushes the other direction. So I could totally see that happening.
I hope it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for the dudes who are kind of the style cat guys and the dudes who roast. You know, like my brother and Chris, and you know, just the dudes who are doing like all those van contests, because after COVID happened, there's nothing for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they were like, those contests were so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was trying to watch every single one of them, not only because my brother was in it, but also like it was just fun to watch. And nowadays, like, I just don't get as hyped on things to see.
I think that's where we're at, because COVID flipped everything upside down. Everyone's remembering. Oh, remember like 5-6 years ago how cool it was? Let's start doing that again.
I hope that's what happened. Yeah,
and then also, you know, it tanked out the shop market
for sure.
Like
the
all the distro market is all tanked out, and we're, you know, floating and crawling back. And I think that's why, like, that's what I say, we're having this renaissance. BMX
for sure
isn't dead yet. The shop isn't dead yet. It's just took an ass whooping, really, and is getting back up.
I'm not, again, there's no knock to the BMX industry, or this, like, it's not like I'm saying that like they should do it my way, because my way's right by any means. Like,
absolutely not even taking
no. I'm just saying, like, I think it would be cool if, like, the trick guys, they're being able to go to these contests and make money doing it. It'd be cool to create like to have that again for the style guys, and like the more differences that people can see at a contest level, and even just, you know, social media and all that kind of stuff that's pushing out every different type of BMX riding and style and tricks, and this, like, the more people are getting to see that's difference is positive and good.
Yeah,
because it makes people, like, you know, certain tricks and certain things are like, oh dude, that looks cool, like I want to do that, you know what I mean? Like, that's, I guess, what I'm trying to get at. I hope like what you're saying, Corey, it just keeps like that circle kind of comes back, and it gets to be kind of opened up to not just the trick stuff, because I feel like that's pretty heavy what it is kind of based on right now, like the contest scene. It'd be cool to have,
because it came on, and people kept elevating that, and so it was, you know, it's something like, oh, I've never seen this before,
for sure,
and so it grabbed people's attention.
For sure, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I watch it. I've been at a professional level, and I watch it now. And I'm like, you guys are gnarly.
It's terrifying, honestly.
It's watching X Games a couple of years ago. Like, my buddy Adam Alois, he's the one who builds a lot of that stuff now. I've gotten to help him throughout the years on some stuff, which he's a cool dude, great dude. He builds the X Game courses, and like that one I think it was the first year that they had it in Ventura. Like the jumps looked pretty big, and they were doing some crazy stuff. I was like, dude, that's gnarly, dude. Like, I'm out on that. It'd be fun to jump them and like maybe do some flips on them and stuff like that, some threes and stuff. But doing whatever, like the double front flips, I think they were doing like double front flips on them or something like that. And
I think our really one was a double front flip. Actually, I think Brady Baker, he's been coming up, but he does the cash roll, double tail whip, bar spin, cash roll, whip, oppo whip.
Dude, that's so gnarly. Yeah, that dude's crazy.
That dude's crazy.
R. Willie, like, he's gnarly. You know, like Sandoval, like I it's funny because one of my first years where I was a Woodward West instructor, like a riding instructor or whatever, Sandoval was in my group, and I could already see it then. Like, he's like, hey, like, you know, we're there to kind of like, I was one of the guys who's the instructor, so the kids are coming to me. That's, hey, how do you do this trick? How do you do a backflip and this and that? Sandoval's asking, like, how do you do like double tail whips and like triple tail? I'm like, that's a great question.
Send it.
You got this, man. Like, just imagine doing a tail whip, but do two. Like, I don't know. But yeah, that, like, seeing those guys, like, they're gnarly, dude. Sandoval and Brady Baker and R. Willie, all those guys, they're next level. I definitely I like seeing like there's a dude Mason Ritter. You ever heard that name?
No.
He rode for GT. I think he's super sick. He does like heel clicker, the tail whip, and stuff like that. He does like he has some like a little bit of moto influence. So I like seeing that that kind of stuff, and seeing like Kevin Peraza lay out like like a 360 one-handed table, or Larry anything Larry does is super fun to watch.
He just goes so much higher than everyone else.
Yeah, and Larry's the homie. So like I've known Larry since he was a little dude. So watching him ride, I always get excited to see. And not saying that there aren't the style guys. I'm just saying like it'd be cool to have a platform, a contest series that's geared kind of like the Vans was, like the Vans ones were like those guys were they were judging it off of like who's taking the least amount of pedals but still going the highest, like who's actually using their bike skill and doing the tricks that make BMX look cool, and like they're rewarding that. That would be cool in my opinion. So I hope that happens. Yeah,
I think it will.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So
well, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I think we killed like a good solid hour.
Yeah, it's got to be more than an hour, right?
Yeah,
We got a good second wind in
We
there
just kind of
too.
started talking.
Yeah,
Hour 22.
122. Very nice.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming out here.
No worries. Man. No worries. Thanks for having me.